Hi, I'm Phil from PDQ Merch Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind group page. And if you guys like to follow us on YouTube, we provide tips and tricks every week. So if you just go to your YouTube channel and type in Philip Webb ATM, you guys would provide benefit to the industry for everybody in the service.
He's also a publisher author.
And I wrote a book.
Real ATM Pro here from Miami, all the way from Miami,
All the way from Miami.
San Pietro with ATM Up. These three guys really know their stuff, people. So hopefully we can give you some suggestions, improvements, ways to maximize your current ATMs. Without much further ado, I will moderate. I have simple questions. I would love this to be interactive, so if anyone wants to add on anything or make their own suggestions. Bottom line, we're all chasing transactions. We all know that. We think we have an advantage. I'm not so sure that's true. We're all basically doing the same stuff. Some people might do it different ways, might do it a little bit better. That's what we're here to talk about. So, Sal, if you had one thing to tell these people, one thing that will help them basically in an immediate fashion, what would you say to them?
Well, we've talked about this at length, me and you. People in our industry, they don't understand their costs. And I can't tell you, I talk about this all the time. If you don't know your costs, you cannot know how much money you're actually making or if you can be competitive. Everybody just comes up with a number based on what their competitor is doing, what they think is supposed to be a right number, as opposed to taking a look. Well, how much is my labor? How much is my fuel? What is my interest? And the immediate answer is always, I'm a smaller guy. Well, I do everything myself, so I don't really have any costs, so I make a lot of profit. But the truth is, your time is worth something, because when you're out there loading, you're not selling. You're not doing something else. So you have to factor in what your time is worth. If it's your money, that's money that can be used somewhere else. So what's the interest you would be making on your money if you were lending it out or investing it elsewhere? So when you start doing this, and then you can come up with how much per transaction are my expenses, now you have power, because now you're negotiating, whether it's with a merchant, trying to go after a big contract, and then you can say, what kind of profit margin am I okay with? Is it 20%? Is it 40%? And that's up to you. But now you know what you're doing, and I've seen many people, when you do this, they realize they're losing money. I've seen people say, I'll load for 65 cents, and you start adding it up, and that might be their cost once you add it all up. But they think they're making money because they're doing everything themselves, and then they don't have the ability to scale, because as soon as they go to replace themselves, they're negative, and they end up building this business around themselves, and they just have a job. And this is not an easy job, for everybody here knows. I mean, it's a grind, and it will wear you down if you're doing everything yourself. So if it's the one thing, know your costs and go from there.
Mr. Webb.
All right, so one thing for me is the contract, the SLA that stands for site location agreement. That's the number one thing in my book that we don't do good as an organization, not us PDQ, but I think as ATM operators, is we go and we get that first deal signed, and then that's it. Now, if we want an exit strategy, or we want to, let's say this location is out of our realm and we don't want to deal with that, we want to pawn that off. Well, there's no more months on that contract. That contract's expired years ago. Maybe it's got a half a year left in a 5-year or an auto 5-year. We don't maintain those agreements. One of the things that we have to stress, and you guys, these are assets. I would break the ATM business down into 3 categories. 1 is the location agreement. 2 is how much profit is it, and 3 is the cost of the machine. We have to maintain all 3 of those assets, but you got to keep on. Anytime that well, Phil, they say, well, Phil, how do I do that? You know, I've been in there for X. I don't want to go in there and ask you to sign an agreement because I don't want to give anything up. Anytime they ask for something, they want more surcharge. It happens all the time. Hey, can you give me more money? Can you give me more? They ask, you ask. No problem. I can do that. This is what I want. I want X. I want a new agreement. Oh, I want to change this. I want to move the ATM. No problem. I want a new agreement. Anytime they ask, you ask. That's the best way to get it. But this is your lifeline. This is your exit strategy. You want to leave money to the kids, to the grandkids. You want to give money to your wife. Whatever you want to do, make sure you have those agreements. And I stress this all the time because some of the people in this industry, they're getting a little older. And you know what? They say, hey, I've been here all these years. I'm okay with that, Phil. I'm a handshake guy. Okay, great. You pass away. Now your wife is managing your business. And guess what? She don't have the relationship you had. Think about that. Think about your kids. So you guys got the relationship with the people. Sometimes it's not even a hard ask. All it is, hey, Sal, I noticed our agreement's 3 years out. Can you sign it? Oh, no problem, Sal. It's sign it. Boom. And it's easy. Sometimes it's harder. But that's your lifeline to this business. And it's the number one thing I see time and time again is you don't have that location.
Good point. Mr. Sinatopoulos, what do you say?
Well, I'd had one practical suggestion, one theoretical. The practical is to build on Sal's, what Sal is saying here is know your ROI. I mean, I inherited, I basically had an operator give me a very small route of outdoor machines. And I thought, this was like when I first started out. I was like, wow, it's like free money. I got free machines. The guy just walked away from the machines. I was like, but after operating the machines for 6 months and replacing these were outdoor machines in New York and in front of bars. I thought they were home runs, but after doing an analysis, the screen replacement, the keypad, going there multiple times, sabotaged by competitors. I had a competitor gluing the keypad. And, I'll say off the stage what I did to take care of that problem.
New York style.
Yeah, very New York style. The ROI was terrible. So I actually ended up decashing and decommissioning those machines. So what is the return on your investment and in what time? Time is the crucial element. Are you going to get this back in a year? Are you going to get it back in 2 years, 6 months? If the ROI is 5 years, then forget it. You're better off doing something else. Close that account and do something else with, free up your capital and do something else. The theoretical part is, and I wish, I've been in this business almost 20 years. Actually, it is 20 years now. Wow. If you have a portfolio of 100 machines, no one's figured out how to monetize that screen and how to monetize that receipt. I mean, for example, we have a relationship with the merchant or the location or the site, but no one's actually figured out, and it keeps me up at night. If you have an ATM portfolio of about 100 machines, you probably have 30 to 50,000 transactions at their good locations. No one's figured out how to market to these customers, the actual person actually using the machine. I've seen people try to put toppers on it, and there's been companies that have tried to do ATM advertising, and they come and go, especially in New York. I've seen people, 20 of them come and go. Somebody's going to figure that out, and maybe it'll be somebody in this room, maybe it'll be Phil, maybe it'll be Sal, I don't know, hopefully somebody will figure that out. But that's more theoretical, and it's something that needs to happen in the industry.
So if you're thinking about starting a profitable ATM business but didn't know where to start, stay to the end of the video and I will show you a checklist of how to start your ATM business. So you can start off your ATM business the right way and avoid costly mistakes along the way. In this checklist, I will share with you the 5 things you need to know to start your profitable ATM business so you can build a passive income source for you and your family. You'll have a clear roadmap towards ATM business success so you can earn between $250 and $1,500 of passive income every single month. All right, let's get back to the video.
I would add one thing, and it's something that I'm actually doing right now. Through software, you can do enhanced balances, surcharge segmentation additions, DCC additions. Once you get that software on, whether you do it yourself or you have your processing agency assist you with it, it's pretty much immediate income. So I would look into that if I were you. It's something that I'm doing personally, so hopefully that's something that can benefit us all. Suggestions, practices that you would look at?
One thing I wanted to add to what Phil said is that he didn't touch on more than just with the contracts about protecting your asset. I can't tell you, especially during COVID, how many places went out of business. I always get a contract, and I always tell all of our market partners, do not put out a machine without a contract to protect yourself, and they always ignore me because they're so excited to get at the location and they get pushed back. And I'll tell them, I don't care if you put a 2-month term on there with an auto renew, just so if something happens, you're protected. So let's say nobody ever thinks they're going to die, no one ever thinks they're going to go out of business. Both things typically happen. So you'll have a situation where you show up one day to load your machine because there's been an inactivity, and the door's locked, and there's a number to a landlord, and you're telling the landlord you have to get your machine and your money, and the first thing he says, everything in there is mine.
Yep.
And if you don't have some type of proof that that's yours, then you'll say, oh, I've got the code, nobody knows it but me. They don't care. And if you don't have something, they will win in court. And it's happened to me before, where there's been a judgment and the landlord knows it's my machine, but he got a judgment because the person skipped out in the middle of the night. So you have to protect yourself from those types of situations at the bare minimum.
Yeah, and you're right. I didn't say that. And so many times it happened to us where the guy skipped out, the merchant skipped out in the middle of the night, and you go and you got the landlord's number, because one of the things what we do is we ask the guy, do you own the store? He says, no, I don't own the store. Okay, I need the landlord's number. Because when he goes, when he will, and if he does, he's gone, and now you're like, well, it takes you a little bit of time to figure out who owns the building. And then the first thing, it's the number one thing, I call the landlord, or maybe the realtor, because they're going to be related to the space. And I said, look, my ATM's in there. He says, well, here's the number of my lawyer. Please send him over the agreement. If you don't have the agreement, you're done. But if you have the agreement, you send it over to the lawyer contacts you, says, okay, meet the realtor here, pick your ATM up, and away you go. Every time you get your ATM back, but I guarantee you don't get it back, you don't have that agreement.
Good points, guys. Good points. Suggestions, practices that you guys do. Things that we forget.
Yeah, okay, so one of the things that I see all the time that we could do is when we sell an ATM to a merchant, one of the things that we can do, instead of just doing a processing agreement with them, and we can also do a maintenance contract, we could ask for 15, 25, 40 cents a transaction. Not only are you're getting the processing, the interchange, but now you're getting on top of that those denominations. Along with, let's say, maybe you want to push back and you're a little worried about that, you can hit them with a statement fee. That's big right now, $15, $20, $25, a statement fee a month. You're processing their transactions. They're used to paying it. They got their credit card. They're hit with PCI fees. They're hit with breach fees. They're hit with statement fees. It's nothing to ask for that, especially the new merchants. It's easy to ask. So if you're selling machines to locations, please do yourself the service to provide that statement fee every month, that processing fee. If you want to feel good about yourself, you want to throw in paper, you throw it in, but at least you got that.
Would you do a processing fee on a location that you own the machine, or just when the merchant owns the machine?
It depends on the deal. It depends on so you ask, they ask. It depends. That's a negotiation on what do I want. Am I trying to get an 8-year contract? Am I getting a 10-year contract? Am I getting a 2-year contract? So maybe what I can do is I can use that as a negotiation. So maybe I wouldn't think about getting a statement fee to a machine that I own. But maybe I say, look, I'll tell you what, you go with me for an extra couple of years, I'll waive the statement fee that we normally charge. Now, maybe I don't charge it, but maybe I tell them I do.
Can I jump in on that? I've done the processing fee per transaction with the merchant owns the location, and I've mixed it in with like a warranty program. So I'll say, listen, if the machine goes down, it's a numbers game. You sell the guy a brand new machine, I wouldn't do it on used equipment, but I sell the guy a brand new machine, odds are, you're not gonna have any major issues in the first couple of years. So I'll give them a full maintenance program for about 35, 40 cents a day for processing. Merchant, if he charges $2, $2.50, he's like, listen, I don't want the headache. If this machine goes down, I want you guys to fix it and be here. And there's a good portion of my portfolio. I have ATM locations out there 8, 10 years, and I'm still collecting the processing fee.
Okay, so processing fees is one more revenue stream we look at,
especially if the merchant owns the machine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I mean, to add to that, people are afraid to ask. And we all know that if you've been in this business for some time, it's been a race to the bottom with interchange. And Visa and MasterCard have been saying it for years, it may eventually go away. So the quicker you can start to adapt and start to charge fees, the more you're going to be able to offset your diminished returns. I remember I was getting more interchange when I first started with one machine than I do as an ISO. And it's crazy. But if you don't adapt now, we're seeing people, they're fighting over a penny, but they're afraid to charge for anything.
Right. One of the things that, and we're talking about things that I don't think this industry is doing a good enough job, or we haven't implemented talking about these, is most people in this room at some point or another had decided, you know, I'm taking it off a phone line, I'm going to broadband or TCP/IP, and now they're here looking at, you know what, I don't want the headache. The store owner's changing from, in our neck of the woods, it's AT&T and Comcast. I don't know nationwide what the providers are, but they go from cable, they go to phone, they go back, and then they call you on Friday, oh, my ATM doesn't work. You issue a tech, the tech goes out there, spends an hour, and then figures out, guess what, we have no internet. And then you ask the store, did anything change? No, nothing changed. And you ask somebody else, and then you figure out, oh yeah, yesterday they changed from cable to phone or internet with the phone providers. And so we decided, hey, great, let's put it on wireless. But now we're incurring those fees month after month. We buy the box, we pay the providers, and now we got those. But there's got to be a shift. You know what? We got to push that. We got to share that. Some guys in this room are proactive, and they're saying, you know what? I'm going to take whatever, let's call it a $10 fee. I'm going to push $5 to my merchant. Maybe they're pushing it all. Maybe you're saying it's a $20 fee, and they pay half. But we can push that to the merchant because they know that there's a signal there, there's a cost there. Why are we eating that? We shouldn't have to. George,
I would say on the fees also, when you have a location, you put the machine in, and it's a subpar location, and you're ready to you're putting the vault cash, you're putting the machine, and after a while, you want to decommission the machine. It's just not working for you. I've had great success asking the merchant, listen, I'll keep the machine in here, but I just can't pay you anything until the numbers get back up. That especially happened during COVID, after COVID, when bars came back. It was just, a lot of businesses in New York were not the same. So when I told them that, they were like, I would say 60-70% of the time they were okay with that. They were like, you know what? That's my experience. If you're gonna decommission the machine anyway, it's no big loss. And we turned that machine from a loser to a winner. I mean, was it a stellar winner? No, it wasn't, but it turned into a winner. So I would think about doing that in strategic locations.
George, do you do anything with percentage deals?
We love percentage. So there's a club in New York.
Explain what percentages are.
So we charge in this very high-end nightclub in New York. We charge $6.95, and we strategically want the percentage to be the same, 6.95%. Some guy is going up there, hey, I need some cash, I've been having a great time. They just see 6.95, and yes, I am taking advantage of a drunk guy probably at a club that has probably drank too much, but there's nothing like seeing at 2 in the morning somebody just got banged out for like $48.
So if you're interested in starting your own ATM business, I want to invite you to my free checklist entitled the ATM Business Passive Income Checklist, where I'll share with you the top 5 things you need to start a profitable ATM business so you can make more money for your family, spend more time with your family, and create that passive income stream that you so desire. So click the link down below to register today. Again, this is Phil from PDQ Merch Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind group page, where we buy your freedom back one transaction at a time. Thank you guys very much.